So last week, comedian Jon Stewart made a joke about standing for the national anthem before games, baseball and football games, basketball games. And, like every smart comic does, they'll take something that, common everyday thing we do and question it and make it look funny. But I don't think he was just trying to be funny because Jon Stewart is an outspoken liberal Democrat, and the Democrats always attack patriotic Americans. They always attack the flag in America. And I think he honestly didn't know. He's a college-educated guy, so I'm sure he was indoctrinated by the left to hate America. And I'm sure he doesn't know why we stand for the flag. So I'm going to give him a little history lesson. You may have heard me say this before, but for the benefit of those that didn't, I'm going to repeat a story that I've told several times on this show. So according to the New York Times report, in 1918, during the Great War, which later became known as World War I, September 5th, first game of the World Series, the Chicago Cubs versus the Red Sox, the Boston Red Sox. Babe Ruth still played for the Red Sox at this time, to kind of give you a context. And, normally World Series, everybody's excited. The hometown crowd is pumped up. The New York Times said it was just like a somber moment. When the game started, it was quiet. People were kind of down. You see, because the war had been dragging on, and over 100,000 Americans had been killed. And people weren't so positive that we were going to win. People were really worried. And to add to that, the day before, there was a gas explosion near the stadium, and several Chicagoans got killed. The government that week announced it's going to start drafting Major League Baseball players. So there was a lot weighing on the crowd. There was a lot weighing on the players, and it just didn't seem like a happy time in America. It was just like a pretty down, negative time. People were worried. People were sad. People were going through a lot. They say in the seventh inning, the Navy band started playing the national anthem. And spontaneously, the Red Sox second baseman, Fred Thomas, on the field just dropped his glove, turned toward the American flag, and put his hand over his heart. And every player on that field was touched and moved and did the same thing. And every American in the stands were touched and did the same thing. And when that national anthem stopped playing, the New York Times reported that a cloud had been lifted, that America was back. The men and women in the stands started hugging each other, crying, rejoicing, high-fiving, saying, "We're going to get through this." The players all hugged and high-fived each other, and they knew they were going to get through this. And it became a tradition. The government tells us we had to do this like in communist countries where they force them to be obedient and stand and rise during their national anthem. No, this was a grassroots American movement, and it started spreading to all the sports events. And then in World War II, Americans started doing this again. And every time it brought unity and helped us get through it, saying, yes, we can do this. We're Americans. We come from every race. We come from every culture. We're a melting pot. But we all have same beliefs. We have the same belief that we're one nation under God. And what makes us exceptional is we know our rights come from God. So the Nazis, the communists, no one we're fighting can take these rights from us. And this is why we stand for the national anthem, to remember those hundreds of thousands of men and now women who have died in battle, to give us the freedom to go watch a ball game, to give us the freedom to make millions of dollars playing a game. We're an exceptional country, and we should be proud of that. That's why we stand for the flag. We also play the national anthem. Why do we play the national anthem? You know, in the War of 1812, the British came back with a vengeance. They were so mad that this country of peasants defeated the greatest army of their time. And in the War of 1812, they were merciless. They attacked America mercilessly. And right outside of Fort McHenry, there was a British vessel, and a young lawyer named Francis Scott Keyes took a little dinghy boat out to negotiate a prison swap. They had some prisoners of ours, and we had some prisoners of theirs. And the captain of that ship said, "Francis, this is all academic." And Francis said, "What do you mean?" He said, "After tonight, you'll all be my prisoners. Look over the horizon. See all those ships coming? On my command, they're going to bomb that fort." And Francis Scott Key says, "Captain, you can't do that. There's men and women on that fort." And he goes, "Francis, don't worry. I already sent a messenger out there. And you see that big flag over the ramparts? If they lower that flag, we'll stop bombing." So Francis went down to see the prisoners, and he told them what was going on. And they're like, "Francis, we can't surrender. Please, dear God, don't surrender." He's like, "Well, all we can do is pray at this point." Now, Francis was free, so he was free to go up on deck and watch what was going on. And sure enough, on the captain's command, they started bombing this huge American flag. And the prisoners kept shouting to Francis, "Francis, is the flag still standing?" And Francis kept shouting, "Yes, the flag still stands." And the captain, getting frustrated that this flag was still standing, that they didn't surrender, he told all his men to aim their cannons directly at the flag. And Francis watched as these cannons kept bombing our flag, but the flag still stood. And then it got dark, and they're still bombing. Through the night, they're still bombing this fort. And the prisoners were shouting, "Francis, is the flag still standing?" He's like, "I don't know. I can't see. It's too dark." And then in the morning, by the dawn's early light, Francis looked over the horizon, and the men shouted to him, "Francis, is the flag still standing?" And Francis says, "Yes, the flag still stands." And Francis Scott Key said he overheard the captain say to one of the sailors, "How is that bloody flag still standing? We've been bombing it all night." So the sailor looked through his binoculars, and he said, "Captain, the flag is being held up by dead Americans." And the captain said, "What? What do you mean?" He says, "There's a pile of dead Americans, 30 bodies high at least, maybe 40. And he's like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Apparently, every time one of the Americans holding the flag was killed, another American climbed on his back and held it up, and another and another." And Francis Scott Key said right there, he remembered the words of George Washington when he said, "The Christian American would rather die on his back than live on his knees." And today there's an attack. We have liberal and Marxist professors indoctrinating our children, telling our children the flag stands for tyranny, when the flag actually fights tyranny and stood for freedom. These professors indoctrinate our children and says the flag stands for racism, when the flag defeated racism. When we brought the Confederate flag down and raised the American flag, we said we'll not tolerate slavery anymore. You know, and last time I talked about this, people were telling me the national anthem, you know, some libs in my comments, the national anthem is racist. And I'm like, how is the national anthem racist? And I found some old standards that we don't even sing anymore that mention slaves. But it wasn't saying slavery was good. It was just mentioning slaves. And, you know, like Pope Francis in his speech last week where he condemned the cancel culture, said, you know, you have to look at history through the proper hermeneutics of its time. You can't, you know, look at history as like today. And, you know, and so the left is indoctrinated to think that we're just this racist country founded on racism, and they just want to eliminate the past. And you know, they showed their hand, though. You know, they were tearing down statues of Confederate generals, and then they were tearing down statues of Abraham Lincoln. And then even Bishop Barron realized that the Black Lives Matter movement was really the Black Marxist movement, the Black Lives Marxists. They were Marxists, because then they started attacking our church and destroying statues of our saints and our Blessed Mother, and statues of Jesus, because they want to destroy Western civilization. They want to erase our past and start new. This is what these communists want to do in America. And a lot of liberals don't know this. They don't know their history. Like John Stewart don't know why we stand for the flag. You know, when America had slavery, the whole world had slavery. It's nothing new. The word slave actually derives from the word Slav, because there were so many Slavic people enslaved. It was like a synonym. And, you know, Slavic people are white Europeans, or like Polish people, basically. You know, when America had slavery, slavery was normal. There were more slaves in Africa and Asia than there was in America. What was not normal was for a leader of a nation to say slavery is evil, and that's exactly what Abraham Lincoln did. What was not normal was for hundreds of thousands of free men to die for slaves. And that's what America did during the Civil War. America is great because America is good. Don't forget that. Remember that when you stand for the flag. Remember that when the national anthem plays. It's not nothing weird. It's something good. It's pure. It's wholesome to remember our ancestors who gave us the freedom that we so enjoy. We honor those men and women who gave their lives to us. And we honor those living veterans, like the one I interviewed, Dr. Dale Comstock, Delta Force operator, who spent his whole adult life in dangerous situation protecting us from terrorism. So that's why we stand for the flag, John. I know you'll probably not see this, but my friends, my viewers, my subscribers, please share this, because this is a message young Americans need to hear. God bless, and stay Catholic.